Good morning, everyone. Dean, dear faculty members, dear friends, it is truly a great pleasure that when I accepted the Dean's invitation to open this seminar entitled The Politics of Wellbeing. I have met and worked, and I'm still working with many of you on an individual basis through the various activities of my presidency. However, it is not often that I have the opportunity to meet and discuss with all academics and practitioners of the faculty together. Therefore, I hope that my reflections, which I will share with you today, will serve to stimulate your discussions and deliberations further. In the process of my contribution this morning, I will also present some information about the principles and the values which inform the work of my presidency. I have been mainly inspired by two of the objectives presented for this seminar. Objectives that stand out to me as particularly relevant at this time of such uncertainty and turbulence in our world. Firstly, the focus that you have chosen to place on how best to merge your professional activities with a critical and proactive approach to promote direct action for social justice within society. Secondly, your decision to appraise if your activities as educators and practitioners can contribute to a healthier and more resilient democracy in our islands. I believe that questions of social justice and democratic participation are rarely answered easily. However, these questions are some of the most essential concerns of an evolving and forward-looking society. As a faculty dedicated to the promotion and study of well-being, your diverse departments must be at the vanguard of innovation and practical engagement to answer such questions. In so doing, you shall make a valuable contribution towards ensuring that well-being is a living and meaningful reality for the people of our nation. The President's Foundation for the Wellbeing of Society, of which many of you are expert members or collaborators, works very closely with the University of Malta and other stakeholders in order to highlight the importance of well-being. My foundation roots itself in the academic pursuit of knowledge, while also acknowledging the need for our discourses about well-being to be translated into practical and meaningful action. I believe that without full and effective access to processes of democratic participation, there can be no well-being. It is for this reason that my foundation prioritizes active engagement with the communities of our islands, entering into consultations with thousands of people and promoting active and inclusive citizenship. I also believe that when we talk about a politics of well-being, then we must also talk about an ethics of well-being. We must talk about the actions that are necessary to nurture, implement, and sustain well-being within our communities, but also the thought processes which are needed to ensure that all our efforts promote equity, equality, respect, and dignity for all members of society. I believe that well-being can only be achieved when we are working together in an ethical and inclusive manner, in mutual partnership and profound synergy. This is just like the way the diverse departments of your faculty come together to combine their expertise. You are stronger, both academically and as practitioners, when you work together to focus on one ethical and inclusive vision for the future of our communities, our society, and our world. It is this belief of the need for a unified vision for the future that makes me such a passionate promoter of the United Nations Agenda 2030 and its Sustainable Development Goals. I truly believe that it is only when we act holistically and in synergy that we can ensure that nobody is left behind, while also building effective democratic processes and meaningful social justice, which subsequently will promote and encourage a culture of positive peace and well-being for the benefit of our communities and across society as a whole. There can be no positive peace without well-being. In a similar way to the synergies you have achieved among your diverse departments, we need to find new integrated ways to harness the combined expertise and the enthusiasm of all our citizens in order to implement Agenda 2030 to our benefit, but also as part of our contribution to the benefit of all humanity. As educators at the country's foremost university, you are ideally placed to also inspire your students to share a wider vision which embraces Malta into an intrinsic part of the whole world. Furthermore, let us remember that when students become inspired and rise up to meet the challenge to become activists for change, then their families, their communities, and the whole of society is also transformed. Agenda 2030 gives us an exceptional framework and opportunity to make a difference and to promote true activism in a proactive and targeted way. In fact, many of the SDGs correspond to the activities of your departments. The first of the Sustainable Development Goals pinpoints the need to end poverty and address risks of precarity. It acknowledges that economic injustices are often at the root of many other forms of inequality and discrimination. For example, through Sustainable Development Goal number 3, target number 4, world leaders have recognized for the first time the need to promote mental health and well-being as major priorities within the global development agenda. While target number 5 goes deeper still, target number 5 requests that all countries, and I quote, strengthen the prevention and treatment of substance abuse, including narcotic drug abuse and harmful use of alcohol, unquote. Moreover, the indicators from each of the targets can be disaggregated to give more specific information. Another example, goal number 4, to ensure quality education for all, contains, as part of its targets, several indicators that addresses the needs of people with disabilities. It goes on to highlight the importance of gender equitable and equal educational measures, which must take root in all nations if we are to create fairer and more just societies. While many specific goals and targets will have special relevance to your individual departments, the SDGs can only achieve their full potential if they are implemented holistically. Just like each species within an ecosystem balances the other, to ensure continued harmony, the SDGs must be united in order to create sustainable peace and well-being. The United Nations Agenda 2030 is political in the true sense of the word. I truly believe that it is the people and their well-being who must be at the heart of all our work and policies. Let me therefore take this opportunity to encourage you, as academics and as practitioners, to bring in your conversation today and to keep the Sustainable Development Goals as a guiding framework in your work both as researchers and in the process of educating your students. The SDGs are a powerful way of focusing your students' attention on important issues of social justice. The more socially aware your students are, then the more they shall be active participants in the building of democratic processes and promoters of the values of social justice throughout their lives. As a practical strategy for global social solidarity, the United Nations Agenda 2030 and its Sustainable Development Goals is our best hope to achieve the transformation of our communities, our society, and our world. I would like to take this opportunity to encourage you to continue in your endeavors to ensure that more is done in the sector of formal education and beyond to make the well-being and prosperity of each and every individual and community in our country and in our world a reality in our lifetime. And finally, I augur you all, within the Faculty of Social Wellbeing, much success with today's seminar, and I look forward to the outcomes of your deliberations. Thank you.